but you
So we
have to
won't be able
cook
to
your
have
food
steak
thoroughly.
medium rare.
No,
No.
ma'am.
Here's the problem though with cooked food. When you cook all of that food, there's no refrigerator to put it up in, so you gotta eat all or give it away and consume it,
Yes,
basically.
please.
One quick question, expiration dates. Now, there are people who say best by, expired by, um, what to do?
Use by. Okay, use by is just that. If it says used by July 8th, you use it by July 8th and then you discard it. Best before is normally a quality issue. So you will find that that will be on like biscuits, like things that might get cold, but they're not going to give you any illness or may not give you any illness. So that's best before. Now, expired is the same as used by. So as long as it's marked expired by, that's it. You have to toss it.
And best by is really left up to your taste buds.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Okay. We have a question. Okay, well, we do have to wrap up here, and I want to thank you. Okay, we have a caller. All right, we have a quick question. Go ahead. Good morning. Okay, we have a WhatsApp question. I have chip ice in the freezer from Monday. I didn't open my freezer. I don't open my freezer often, so the ice is still there. Is the food still good? So they have chip ice in the freezer from Monday. They did it, but what it is when they lost electricity.
That's what I want to know.
Well, we can't answer that question unless we know. And if they lost it Friday, then that's different. If they lost it Monday, it makes a difference. All right.
Yes,
well, hopefully
please.
that person will send back in something to clarify, and hopefully this won't be the last time for you here. So we're going to welcome you back, because it's important, I believe, for the Ministry of Health to jump on board with agencies such as Light and Power when these things happen, so that the public can be educated in a safe way what to do when the electricity goes off, how best to store our food, and when are we supposed to throw it away and when we're supposed to keep it. Thank you so much, LANA. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. We'll after the break. Welcome back to Face It and Fix It. That was an interesting discussion, and I hope that many of you, if you can't watch it because obviously you don't have electricity, some of you may still have access to social media so that you can watch us or listen to us via radio. And knowing when to throw food out is very important. It's important to you and your homes, but more important, it would be to restaurants And I remember when we had a lockdown and a lot of people rushed to various restaurants. And sometimes it's good to let some time pass before we rush out to allow the various agencies or entities to do what is necessary that is safe then for all of their customers. So I would think that losing electricity should be no different, and you might want to wait a little bit and to see how best the food can be discarded by the various restaurants around. And I hope that they are being honest with the Barbadian public and to know when to test the food and not to serve anything that can harm us. We are going to be hearing from the meteorologist, Kathy Ann Caesar. She is having some technical difficulties on her end. We are also going to be hearing from Mr. Carl PADMORE from the SSA. You know, last week we were talking about how best we can dispose of the garbage after. Do we have Kathy Ann Caesar? Okay. Unfortunately, we're still having some difficulties with Kathy Ann connecting with us. Also, we're going to have, if time permits, we are going to have LENNOX, PRESCOD, Pharmacist. We wanted to bring on a pharmacist as well because we often hear about medication and storing medication in a refrigerator. And so we're going to hear from him. We have some WhatsApp comments, re-electricity, and we are going to, obviously from time to time, be reading them out to you. Friendly reminder to the Barbados Light and Power, and I want to repeat it, the areas that have messaged us, they're desperately asking for an update or their lights back on. Long Bay, Rices in St. Philip, as well as they have a PADMORE village. There is Serenity and Kendall in St. John. We also have Bathsheba and Hillswick and Cleavers Hill in St. Joseph. So those are some of the areas that they need some assistance. Ocean City, Rices, Long Bay in St. Philip. Serenity Hill, Kendall in St. John. Bathsheba, Cleavers Hill, and Hillswick. We're making a plea here on this show, as we would normally would bring the agencies and ask them to help. So we're asking you, BL&P, on behalf of those persons and all other persons who don't have, if we can have an update. We may have to take a break, and we'll come back with, hopefully, Ms. Caesar, and that she's connected, hopefully, by then. We'll be back.
Yes, I can. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, beautiful.
Okay. 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 Welcome back. We have Kathy Ann Caesar, meteorologist, here with us to discuss Elsa. Kathy Ann?
Good day, how y'all doing?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, we heard some conflicting stories from another island that we did not have a hurricane. Can you tell us if indeed Elsa was a Category 1 hurricane, and did we make a mistake?
Oh, well, never say that we made a mistake. What happened at first, we did have a hurricane. Hurricanes are defined by the wind speed observations at the center of the eye at approximately about 10 to 8 on Friday. The eye moved on and towards Barbados. We had sustained winds in excess of 60 kilometers per hour, which actually would make it a Category 1 hurricane. So once those observations are made, that is the criteria that has been made, and so it will be defined then as a Category 1 hurricane.
So in this particular instance with Elsa, how quickly did that turn from storm to hurricane? Was that minutes, hours? How does that work? How did it work?
Okay, well, at the earliest observations, remember that it was mainly over ocean, so they were based on estimates. What we use is satellite data to estimate the wind speed associated with the storm. Once it came on shore, you had now concrete information from the Barbados Met Service as well as other observation sites around Barbados, and in our case, our own observations as Barbadians and other persons, seeing those strong winds across us. And so what we suspect is, as we heard, the system was actually a little bit dislocated, and that it actually came together right as it actually encountered Barbados and matured really quickly into a hurricane.
So when you say a little bit dislocated type of thing, explain what does that mean in terms of your language?
So what happened, and what was reported, remember that the director, Mr. Sabu Best, was explaining that evening that the system was moving rather fast. And because it was moving rather fast, you would find that the eye got separated from the main cloud base. And so we say when that happens, the system is not going to develop as rapidly. However, during the night, it was actually going through these transition phases, coming together sometimes, being separated other times. And as it was just approaching Barbados, it was one of those instances where it came together, quickly matured from that stage of a strong tropical storm to a hurricane as it moved over Barbados. So the system basically came together as one where the eye was co-located with the strongest winds.
Okay, before I move on to the season and what we have to look forward to, is there anything that you can tell us is looming somewhere around the African coast that you are watching, even if it's small? What's out there?
Yeah, we have right now 2 waves. One is just moved off the African coast. The other one is about 45 degrees west. Right now, it actually has very little thunderstorms associated with it, mostly in the region of the ITCC, which is south of us. We're not seeing any appreciable circulation. And the good thing is that we have what is known as a strong high pressure cell over us, which is actually suppressing development. And that is associated too with a lot of dry air and haze. So we expect that as the system approaches us, we will still monitor it for development. But right now, we do not expect any significant development in the next 48 hours.
But that can change, or you're pretty much sure? I know it's not exact science. Mm-hmm.
Well, we're getting a lot better. We're getting a lot better. If there were any potential for development, we would have seen something, at least I would expect by now. I really expect that it should not develop into a strong tropical storm anytime soon, but we always say keep on monitoring. Things can change very rapidly, and when it does, we will be on board to ensure that the public is perfectly aware of what is happening.
No, we've always
so you will be forewarned.
We've always heard that anything coming from the south, we always have to worry about. Explain to our viewers and listeners, why is that?
Okay, so what traditionally traditionally happens with these storms. And actually, Elsa was one of the first, is the first of the Cape Verde storms for the season. Most of the other storms, the previous storms formed to the north of us. When these storms form a little bit to the south of Barbados, they tend to curve in a clockwise fashion. So they'll curve from the northeast into to the north. If it actually starts to be or remains further south as it approaches Barbados, that curvature could occur anytime across Barbados, just as Elsa did. As Elsa was approaching, it started to curve northward, and that curve occurred right across Barbados. So that is why we have to be aware if these systems approach us a little bit from the south. If it starts to move a little bit north to the east of us, that likelihood of curvature will occur before it encounters Barbados, and so we tend to be a little bit more out of the area of potential impact.
So what type of season can we look forward to, or not look forward to, but we can expect?
All right. So early on, and so now the early projections are seeming to be going as predicted. We're expecting 17 named storms. Now remember that last year
17?
we had an extraordinary, yes, 17
So
named storms.
we're at number what now?
We are at number five, five. Elsa.
Number
A,
five.
B, C. Yes, Elsa.
Okay, but when we get to 26 named storms, we know we gotta start back at A with the alphabet. So 17.
Well,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
17. We do not expect right now to have as an active year as we did last year, which was a record year at 30 named storms. Sorry. So we were sorry about that. On my camera. Yeah. So we are expecting to have an active season because 17 is above average. Right now, the average is up from 12 a few years ago to 14 storms, given the active period that we're in right now. We expect to have 17 named storms, in terms of CIMH, we're looking at a range anywhere between 13 and 20 storms. Not all of them are going to be in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, we usually expect that the storms, we have a few less storms as we move into the season. Some of those storms will start to form to the north of us in the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico.
Okay, well, I want to thank you so much for coming, and I know that this is not the last time, because as we move on from E to F, you know, we will then have you on for F. Hopefully we wouldn't have to experience anything that is that bad. So I want to thank you so much. And for any message for Barbadians in terms of what they're experiencing now as the aftermath continue to do?
Well, now we're going to be experiencing some really hot and dry days. It's going to be extremely hot. You're going to get a lot of hazy conditions, and we should expect the next wave again in the next 2 or 3 days. Should bring us a bit of showers, but remain vigilant because again, the peak season is going to be August, September, particularly around September 10th is usually going to be the peak of the season. Okay. And so we remain vigilant. The other thing we have to be aware of as we pass September and go in October, we always have the occasion of a few late storms, which will again be could be in our area. Always,
and we can expect some extremely hot days as well.
Yeah, a few hot days between now and the next wave. But it will also be very windy as well. So that will actually curb that. It will be windy. That's I can assure you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Not
Always
a problem.
A pleasure. Well,
okay.
Thank you. Our next guest will fit nicely into this as we're talking about heat and how well we as human beings can survive. But what about medication? How can we survive in this heat with our medicines in the absence of electricity? And joining us is pharmacist Mr. LENNOX PRESCOD. LENNOX. LENNOX is our next guest. LENNOX, let me ask you a question. How are you getting through with the electricity situation, water? How did the storm treat you in your neck of the woods?
It was quite good. It was quite good to us up here in Charlotte area where I am. Mm-hmm. We got our electricity back the same night. The water did not go off, and damage was minimal to some trees, etc. So we were very fortunate in that respect.
So as a
But it's tough
pharmacist,
for other areas.
I'm not sure if you operate near where you live, but when a pharmacist is impacted with a loss of power and doesn't have a generator, what steps do you take as a pharmacist to secure your medication? And then we'll talk about the general public.
Well, I think pharmacies in general will, to be prepared, should have a generator, because you never know when the electricity is going to go off. It could go off, without a hurricane or storm, and you have a lot of medication that needs to be kept in refrigeration. So I think pharmacists are generally prepared for that.
All right, so big question here now, and I know the public wants to know. We have many diabetics on the island, people using insulin, people who are on antibiotics, things that have to be refrigerated. Of course, I wouldn't know all the medications, but there are some medications that you must store in a fridge. Then we hear the ads telling you that if you have to go into a shelter, please take your medication with you. And I'm thinking, well, if the shelter has no electricity, how does that help? So talk to us about storing medication like insulin, etc. What can we do?
I think insulin is the big thing, because if you're diabetic, your insulin is your problem. In Barbados, we've been very fortunate in that most people have refrigerators. So we have come up in a system where the storing of insulin on the refrigerator is considered to be the only way to do it. But in reality, insulin can last for up to 4 weeks, a month outside of the refrigerator.
Really?
But of course. But if you tell people that, they sort of disbelieve you, because we've come up saying insulin being stored in the refrigerator. If you live in other countries where there's no electricity, etc., a lot of people will store the insulin in very good like zip bags and so forth, tie the top with a rubber band, and put it in a big saucepan or some earthenware container. They dig a hole in the ground and they keep it in that container. The hole in the ground means that it's going to be cooler at night and so forth, so the insulin is going to keep just as long. But I just want to stress that you don't have to, stress yourself out. The insulin unopened can last for up to 4 weeks without it being bad or whatever.
Unopened.
Okay. If your insulin is open, and you keep it in the refrigerator, as the earlier person food was talking about, 28 hours, as long as you keep the refrigerator closed, that's enough to keep the insulin and other medication like antibiotics, liquids that you may have, eye drops that.
How many hours again? 24? How many hours?
24 to 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, so what do we say to Barbadians now who are into day 7? And
well,
they
if you're
have
into day 7, well, this is the thing. If you're a diabetic, you need to have prepared yourself for these situations. So you should have a cooler dedicated to storing your medication in, if you're diabetic, so that you could then get some ice packs and put in the cooler and put the insulin, but you have to put it in a plastic bag, tie the top so that if the ice or the pack start to melt, it wouldn't affect the medication. Okay? So you put it in there, and that's going to keep the medication cool for a good while. They have to replace it day after day. So for example, if you have to go to a shelter, you should be going to the shelter with your medication in the cooler, small cooler that you have. You should not go to the shelter and assume that there's going to be electricity there, or assume that there is going to be a refrigerator there or something that you can, or even ice there. You should take that yourself. What I'm saying is that we have to put ourselves in a position of preparedness, so that when we hear a hurricane is coming, we don't have to run around trying to get a cooler, trying to get some Ziploc bags. That's not the time to do that. We should have done that a long time ago.
All right, so what are some of the other types of medication? We talked about all antibiotics must be stored in a refrigerator, things like amoxil, etc.
A lot of right, amoxil, erythromycin, etc. The liquids, eye drops, especially people who may have just have had like cataract operations done.
Glaucoma?
Glaucoma, right? They need to keep those medicines in the refrigerator. So that's the same preparedness. If you know you're in that situation, you have the little cooler that you're going to put this medicine in a Ziploc bag so that it can't get wet and so forth, the moisture, and you keep it there. Of course, if you have to go for more than 4 days or whatever, you'll be getting some ice, hopefully, that you can then pack in the cooler.
I can tell you that in this country for the last couple of days, ice was a bad word for some people. They couldn't get ice. I know. But But
then the thing is,
hard.
I tell people, while your electricity is on, especially during the hurricane season, always keep a few ice packs in your refrigerator, because you never know when it's going to come in handy. You don't want to have ice packs outside the refrigerator, and then you hear a hurricane is coming, and you start putting them in the freezer. There may not be enough time for those packs to freeze properly. Yeah. So what I'm saying is we've got to be prepared. Too many people wait to the last minute and then say, oh, I've got time. And the electricity is, sometimes we say the electricity isn't going to go off, but you never know. It's going to go off. And you've got to be prepared.
Okay. Okay, so I want to ask another question pertaining to the potency. Can it harm you, or is it that if you don't store it in the refrigerator, take antibiotics, and you do risk taking it, and it's room temperature, can it do harm, or is it that it will lose its potency and it wouldn't work?
It will lose its potency because they have to be stored between the 36 and 46 degrees Fahrenheit. It will lose its potency. It's not going to harm you, but then it's not going to work as well as it should. Similar to insulin. The insulin, if the refrigerator is down and so forth, and it's not going to harm you. It's not going to poison you, as some people think.
It wouldn't work.
It's not going to make you sick, but it's not going to work as good as it should work. And
so
that is where you've got to pay attention.
That's after 4 weeks, or at what point can my insulin not work? Not be in the refrigerator.
But after 4 weeks? Yeah, you see, the problem with the insulin is not the 4 weeks. It is the temperature. It's supposed to be between 36 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't want insulin to be too cold, because it's going to freeze. You don't want it to be too warm, because it's going to start to break down. Insulin is a protein, right? Proteins in the liquid. So the proteins will start to break down and so forth. And that's the problem. So when the protein starts to break down, which means the insulin starts to break down, it is losing its potency, its value. So if you take the same amount of insulin and you expect the same results, you're not going to see that. All right? And that is why you need to pay attention to make sure that it is within the period, the temperature range that it should be. Same for antibiotics and so forth. You got to pay attention to these things. And for antibiotics, you've got to take all the antibiotics. You don't take, a lot of people get antibiotics for 7 days, and they take 3 days, they feel good, and they stop. You're not to do that. You're to take the complete.
But a quick question before we go, and I know you're not a doctor. Sure. If I'm on a 7-day regime of antibiotics, and by day 3, my antibiotics gone off, because I don't have any storage, what do I do? Do I start back the antibiotics again if I miss 2 or 3 days, or you just start back again?
No,
because I can't go cool it. I can't go cool it.
You need to get another prescription.
You need to get another prescription.
So you can, according to, don't take the chances with that, because you would not know how the temperature has risen and what has happened to your antibiotic. So you got to be very careful with those things. But that's why I'm saying preparedness is so essential, so that we don't find ourselves in these situations where we get anxious and all kinds of things. And that creates additional issues, especially for people with diabetes, who don't want to have these anxiety situations. And they look around, they don't know if the insulin is good or bad because they haven't stored it properly, they haven't made preparations for it.
Okay. Well, LENNOX.
So this is a hurricane season. We'll take care.
Okay. Well, LENNOX Prescod, I want to thank you very, very much, and we hope to hear you again as the season goes on, and we need you again. Hopefully you make yourself available to remind the public. Okay, so MARILYN Seeley
Thank you
from
very
Flow,
much.
thank you so much. MARILYN Seeley
Okay.
from Flow is up next. I will be back after the break. Welcome back to Face It and Fix It. Our next guest is MARILYN Seeley of Flow. MARILYN is Senior Manager, Communications, South Caribbean, Dutch Caribbean, and Trinidad. Your hands are full. I mean,
yes, you're so right.
Your hands
You're so
are full. How are you doing, MARILYN?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Well,
pleasure to be on the program.
Thank you for coming. I heard you on the press conference Saturday with the Prime Minister's press conference. You didn't have a lot of bad news to report, but you had some issues. You want to repeat for us the challenges that you would have seen after Elsa?
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start from even before Elsa to say that over the last couple months, certainly pre-COVID, we would have been working to shore up our network for a lot of reasons. We had a lot of people working from home and relying on our services, especially when we were on lockdown. The COVID-19 protocols were in place. So before the start of the hurricane season, we had already completed several simulation exercises in Barbados to test our ability to respond to any eventuality, as well as across the Caribbean, because this is our time. We know this is usually our time in terms of the hurricane season and shoring up the networks. We also provided some tips and constant tips and reminders around stuff that our customers should have in place or put in place in preparation for the hurricane season. And in addition, from our perspective, we would have started to show up for places such as our mobile sites, our network. We would have had our generators fueled. Our cell sites would have been more down to ensure stability, down to small things like vehicles being topped up with gasoline, fuel, diesel, whatever, so that we can be deployed at short notice. And we have also we would have been working with our teams across the Caribbean to ensure that our data centers were shored up as well, especially those located around the hurricane, to ensure that, we had a redundancy in place. If Barbados went down, we could shift our traffic to another location. So all these things, it's very technical, but all these things we would have had in place and before Elsa. So then Elsa happened last Friday, and it was a significant test of the network for sure. We were happy that for the most part our network held its own, especially the mobile network, which we know is major for our people in Barbados. Some of our cell sites did go offline for a period of time, but we were able to divert that traffic, so the impact was very minimal to our customers. We would have had some congestion at times as well with some of our customers, like people making calls at the same time, especially following Elsa's movement away from Barbados. People would have been scared and checking in on their relatives and friends, and there being quite a bit of congestion at that time. We also recorded a spike in mobile traffic. As I said again, people would have been using their devices to check in. So we've had some challenges, as you would have indicated, but both our fixed and mobile networks were stable.
So where are you now in terms
Yes,
of...
I was going on to say how many faults we have.
Right.
So we have approximately 1,300 faults for our fixed services. Now our fixed services will be landline and internet, specifically. And additional, we have mobilized additional technical resources. They have been deployed, and we're currently clearing on average 300 faults per day. Now, what's happening is that as electricity comes back to areas in our communities, then our customers are realizing that their services are not up. So we have been working in tandem with Light and Power, where we're looking to go into those areas as soon as they have brought back up the electrical services, to go in and start clearing out those faults as they come. And we have been working with them from the beginning. They are obviously one of our major partners, key partners in this whole restoration process, and we continue to work with them to do so. So we continue to ask our customers. We know some of you are trying to get through to a 1-800 number, and there's indeed a backlog, and sometimes there's a busy tone. That will happen, but there's only one number to call, and that's 1-800-804-2994. In some instances, you have logged your faults with us already. We can see them, we know them, and we're going to get to them. You may be wanting to call and check up to see where we are. We've been using our social media platform to give you brief updates on where we are, and we will continue to do so in the coming days as we try to bring some restoration to Barbados. So as it's 11 mobile sites remain offline. And when I would have reported Prime Minister's press conference on Saturday, we would have had 39 sites offline at that time. So we're getting there slowly but surely, and we've made a big jump in those numbers for sure. But the good thing is that our customers there's minimal impact to our customers, because as I would have said earlier, we have redundancy in place, and we're able to shift. The mobile network gives us that flexibility. So what we've also done, we have temporarily suspended any new installations, and this is like landlines or internet, so that we can focus all our attentions in reconnecting our customers.
Well, let me ask you this on behalf of the senior citizens in this country that may not rely on cell service, but on landline. You know that everything has changed now to fiber optic and is connected now to electricity. Is there any way, any hope, any future plans of anybody creating something that would allow us to go from one to the next, in terms of if a storm hits, that we could still be able to use the old school kind of way, rotary kind of phone? Is that gone forever?
So Joyanne, the reality is that the fiber optic network is the I would say, the advance in technology in telecoms, and it's across the world, not only in the Caribbean. So unfortunately, we we'll be sticking with that. Actually, in the next couple of months, we are hoping to close down our entire copper network, and we will be solely a fiber network system in Barbados. What we have been encouraging our customers to do is to get in hand uninterruptible power supply. Now, I'll tell you how it works, and I had the opportunity to use it for the first time the system happening in Barbados. So you have it connected, you have it fully charged at all times. You switch it on only when you need, so it can last quite a while. One of my colleagues in the business was able to, he was down electricity for three days, and his power supply kept up all that time, because what he would do, he would switch it on to email or make a call, because it's connected to your landline and your internet. And then he would switch it back off, so he was able to keep it. So really and truly, it lasts really for about 4 hours, and there's some that can last up to 8 hours, depends on the one that you have. But certainly we have some of them available at the company. At a point in time when we first moved to fiber optics, it would have been given to our customers, and at the time they were not interested in it. We did not get.
You don't have one there or a picture of it that you could.
Let me see. I might have to shift a little bit. Give me 1 minute. Let me shift.
This is live TV and it's real, so you do what you have to do in order to make sure that people can see exactly what you're talking about.
Back on my headphones.
No problem.
So I happen to have one here. So this is what it looks like, and you would have it charged before, so you can have it charged. I mean, you would plug it in over here, and you have it charged into your wall, your outlet before a storm. Give yourself enough time because it takes a while to charge. So you can have it in like now when there's nothing, and then when something happens, when a system passes, what you do, there's another cord that will be attached right here underneath, and that you switch out your plug for the plug from the UPS, and there will be uninterrupted service. So you will be getting landline and you'll be getting internet. But what we always caution, because that happened to me, I just never turned it off, and then it ran down before 4 hours. Yeah. But what you really should do is switch it on as needed, and this is a switch. So you switch it on and off. So you switch it on when you need to do something. This is a one cost buy, or this is a monthly recurring cost? Yeah, and you can check with our teams for the specifics on it, but we're not the only ones that have it. It is Promatech and other places also have it. It costs the cost is 40.
But Marilyn, I'm going to ask you this question though. You did give away some data for the cells phones to, I can't remember how much it was, but you guys did a good gesture. I would like to throw this challenge out to Flo, that some of those same devices be distributed to some of our elderly and the most vulnerable from time to time. Because they're not using the cells. Not that they don't have, we have elderly persons with cells, but
and it's understandable.
Old school, they like the landlines. I like my landline, and but a lot of people do. But if it is that you don't have the cell phone, or even a top up, because some people do the pay as you go more than the bill, consideration, and I'm saying this locally, internationally, for Flo to be given to giving away some of those devices during the season.
Certainly, the team is looking at it as we speak. We realize then, you know how it works in Barbados. When we have a crisis, then all of a sudden we realize the importance of the device. This is what we've been seeing. We've been getting an influx of people actually asking us about it and asking us about the device. And as I said, it can last 4 hours. The one I just showed you certainly lasts up to 4 hours, and there are others on island that can last up to 8 hours. And we ask you to reach out, and we are putting things together to see what we can come up with to offer our customers. Yes, we did some cool stuff for our prepaid customers, and we have not forgotten our postpaid customers. in the next couple of days, we want to be able to share with you some good news on that side as well. So we've thought about all the different areas, and we're certainly looking to work with our customers in this situation. We know that some people have lost, some of our customers have lost their houses, and I know they've been reaching out to have disconnections done for the time being, and we're working with them on that as well. But certainly, Joyanne, we are looking at the UPS for sure. We're looking at sourcing. We've been having, as with a lot of companies in Barbados, supply issues in terms, and this is even before Elsa, we're talking about with COVID. So we're looking to see what we can get in on island and how we can support our customers.
See, this is why I like you. You're one of my favorite communications persons, because you get it. You know about what it's like to give back, to satisfy your customers from time to time. A lot of people think that Flo can be a little angry. I'm sorry, that Flo, sorry, they're talking in my ears, my apologies. But some people can actually feel that Flo is unfair. You know, you will get that. But I really, you are one of my favorite communications persons, and you work for one of the biggest entities here. And of course, you carry a title that is not just local. As we said earlier, that it is South Caribbean, Dutch Caribbean, and Trinidad. So for you to publicly state that you are looking at all of these options and being able to assist persons, you know, those who give, and Flo has received a lot of support from their customers. And I'm so happy to see that this consideration is being given by Flo. We do have a caller on the line. I'm not sure if it's directed to you, but let's take it. Face it and fix it. Good morning. Okay. We're just getting some information, and that what they wanted to say is that they do have electricity in St. George. If you can get that part of St. George again for me. And they don't have any internet, but they have electricity. What happens when that occurs? Because I'm seeing so many cables. That's something I need to ask you. You have these poles. I only figured out that the electricity pole was the line was the one to the very top. But what are all of these other wires under there? Is this part of Flo's connection with fiber optics?
So it is not only Flo, it's our competitor. It is, we all have, what we're doing, but I can speak for Flo. We're working to swap out all our copper network to the fiber network. And in some instances, as my team was yesterday, what they're doing, even as we speak, when they go in and get the approval from Light and Power to go in and start making the changes or any reconnections to our customers, they are taking out the wires the same time right now as we speak. They're clearing them. We had already been in agreement with government and Light and Power to clear the posts to make sure that they're not dangling wires and that kind of thing, or pieces remaining from the copper network. And we continue to work with our partners to ensure that happens. So it's going to be a cleaner look very shortly as we clear away the hanging, as I said, the hanging wires from the old copper network, and we go on to a sleeker looking fiber optic network. But I did get the caller's information. So the persons in St. George, they have electricity now, but they
no
do not
internet,
have telephone or internet. Yes, so that is what we're seeing right now. So as people come back up, I don't know if you have a number, or we can get who the person is.
We're gonna try to get that.
The team. I'll get the team to look into it, but we have a lot of those faults. As I said earlier, we have 1,300 faults as we speak, and these are for that same reason, because as our customers come up with getting their electricity back on, then they're realizing, and it's usually very simple, it's a very simple reconnection, nothing major. In some instances, some people have UPSs and they just need to switch back now, take the cord out of the UPS and put back in the landline, the internet plug. So it's little small things, but we are getting to our people. It's going to take some time. We were hoping to get certainly by Wednesday quite a few customers' issues resolved. But then as it worked out, our teams were saying that if we cleared 500 people, then we had 500 more faults appearing. So this is going to take us to the end of the week and certainly maybe into early next week. But we are hearing you and we're on top of it. Be assured that we're working to get get the reconnections done.
Well, certainly, Marilyn, I don't think this is the first time you're on the show. I know this is not going to be the last. The show is really designed to help the public and your customers included. And if we can send you the information from time to time, we have a big season,
Sure.
a long season, to see how best we can ease the suffering. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, people like to communicate. And even if the lights are off, then they can find somebody on the phone to talk to. That helps them get through this whole process and trying to find if their families are okay and so on and so forth. So it's really, really vital. And I know they need water and electricity, but listen, this is Barbados, and Bajans like to know they could talk to somebody on the phone. So
Absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
happy that you are on board with us on the show, that we could reach out to you. We can share this information with Flo and to see how best we can help any of the customers that may be experiencing some challenges.
just to remind Barbadians what they need to do. So we can't wait till the storm is upon us to do stuff, and we encourage you to keep your portable devices fully charged. Make sure you have enough credit on. This was a good run for us and a good test of what needs to be done in times of emergency. Let's get those uninterruptible power supplies packs. As I said, they range from about $40. And as I said, we are also working to see how we can help our customers as well. And make sure you have your battery packs and your backup computers and all your important documents, everything together and ready. Because I remember on Friday when the Met Office announced that it was now a Category 1 hurricane. And I was like, wow, like I couldn't even understand it myself, and I'm in the telecommunications world. So I can imagine how scary a time it was for our people, but we want you to be ready. And, we always talk about being ready until something happens. So we really, really want you to be ready. If you have trees, or let us know if you have a pole leaning. It might be a lighting power pole, but we also have our equipment on those poles as well. So you can flag it with us as well and let us know.
Okay.
Trees hanging close to the poles, let us know, because as I say, we work with lighting power every day, and just let us know. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Marilyn, and we are going to obviously have you back again and again and again. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Face It and Fix It. We have with us yet again none other than Mr. Carl PADMORE, Public Relations Officer, SSA. And Carl, good morning. Good morning, Carl. How are you?
Good. Can you hear?
I can hear you. Can't hear you now.
You can't hear me.
I can hear you now. Yes, I can hear
Good,
you, and
good. Yes.
I can see you. We can see enough of you. Yes.
That's good.
So, first of all, let me ask you, well, how are you and your family? How did you rally through the storm? Are you guys okay? Still waiting for
I have
electricity?
I have
Anything?
relatives that would have received severe damage to property, of course, no life. At work here at the Sanitation Service Authority, we have staff members too that would have received some damage from the passage of Hurricane Elsa. But we take hope in Psalms 46:1, which is God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. And we hold this dear and we practice it. That's why we were able to demonstrate resilience, and the very next day, the Saturday, come out and still seek to perform at a level of excellence that's required by us here at the Sanitation Service Authority.
Well, I can say certainly that my garbage got picked up this morning, bright and early on Thursday, and I think just before the storm, actually, it got picked up as well. So you guys are still on point, but tell us about the cleanup. And I understand at the press conference, because you weren't at the press conference, I remember the Prime Minister saying the SSA should have been here and that the dump would be open up the next day for maybe longer hours. Can you give us the times and what the cleanup has been like for the SSA, for the debris from the houses that we've seen impacted?
We were actually in the press conference on Tuesday with Minister Wilfred Abram, and what we did say is that there is a cleanup going on. It's joint between the MTW, between the National Conservation Commission and the Sanitation Service Authority. Once we have established that there are trees or bulk waste on the highways and byways blocking the entrance to homes, houses, and the trees are cut up, we don't have the equipment to cut the branches. If persons cut them up and they have them there outside, then we are deploying teams to go and remove such. You are responsible for what is on your own premises, but if it's blocking the highways and the byways, we are coming out in our numbers. Today we are doing parts of St. Thomas that would have reported to us. We are doing parts of St. Michael. These are the calls that would have come into our hotlines. The number is 2625326, 2625327. And this again is to remove debris that is on the highways, byways, especially those that would be impeding the work of Flow, Digicel, the Light and Power, the Waterworks Authority, Authority. Again, if the tree is fallen and it's cut up, we will come and we will assist with the removal of it. We can't remove a whole tree. We don't have that equipment. But we have been out since yesterday, specifically working with this. What I'm saying to you, Jan, is not compromising our day-to-day household municipal collection. We have well over 35 compactor trucks that are responding and servicing the households through Barbados. We are still experiencing some low-hanging wires. We're still experiencing one or two areas that are posing difficulty because fallen trees, but we are working very close. We are sending information out to Jackie Marshall at the Light and Power, and she's working with us, because once a wire is down and is live, then Light and Power is dealing with that first. Then the tree is being cut to pieces, and then we are coming in to remove it. Our concern is also looking at those trees that might be fallen and blocking the drainage, so that if there's a downpour again, that we can have clear passage for the water to flow, so it can make its way out to the ocean. It has been a lot of hard work, but we have been getting the response of most members of the public. Our major concern at this stage still is a number of those mechanics who have all of these vehicles around their homes, and we have such cases in St. Michael in Christchurch where persons with mechanic shops have vehicles on both sides of the roads, and it is not only posing a problem for us, but it's posing a problem for Light and Power and the other utilities to get through. And all we're asking for persons to have a conscience. We want to come and be of service to you before we get a next downpour. Uh, that is one of the main issues that we are facing at this stage.
Okay, so you're making a public plea. Isn't that something that the police can get involved in too? Because if you are impacting the ability for the service providers, in particular, let's say there was a fire, to get into
Yes.
these areas, that's critical. So we really would like to ask persons to incline their hearts not to common sense, but rather to applied sense. Because if it was common, we would all have it. So we really would like people to, to really be, as you said, have a conscience. Don't do that. But I want to ask you a question, though. I know you can be mad at me because I did not put my garbage can away, but I didn't know where to put it, because even if I put it in the back, I would have to tie it onto something, because it had garbage in it. But I mean, it fell. It didn't blow across the street. But clearly, obviously, the wind would have tipped it over. How can I secure my garbage can a little bit better? Because wherever I put it, something can happen. I can't put it in my house. Nobody's going to want to put a garbage can with garbage in it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. If I was running a company and they gave you a can, the responsibility is yours. You agree?
I agree. I agree.
If I was running a company and you purchase your own can, the responsibility is still yours as well. And I want you to practice this for now, because when the government starts to roll out that project with the bins, we expect you to treat that bin carefully. So all you have to do is get some strong wire or even rope and secure the bin onto your wire fence somewhere in your backyard in that area.
You're assuming I have a wire fence, but okay. But listen, Carl, I'll tell you this. You're right. I used to have a chain on it on the palm trees. Well, these big, thick palm trees. My garbage can was stolen already. I don't know who would steal a metal garbage can, but it was stolen already. And with garbage in it too, just so you know. So when I got another garbage can, the ones with the wheels, I had it for a number of years. So I would put a chain on it and wrap it around this tree. But we got rid of that because the guys, sometimes you would see garbage at the bottom, because I do not put single garbage in my garbage can. It always in bags. I actually hate to see people just throwing a cup and expect the guys to just tilt everything. But for a while, they didn't have the chain, and unfortunately, it just fell. But I will secure it. I will honestly admit I did not secure. Guess what I secured instead? My gate.
You secured the gate?
They didn't know there's a bigger gate for the car and there's the smaller gate for persons to come into. It was blowing in the wind, and I strapped it in, and I did not do the same thing for my garbage. So I do apologize.
I'm not going to put you in detention. Yes. Huh? What I'm going to ask you, your can has holes in them?
No, they do.
Good.
For a while.
Because what we are facing with now, we understand that over the last 6 days, there's some areas in Barbados that did not have electricity. And let's be patient with the lighting power. I want to make that appeal, because at the end of the day, they are aiming to have safe restoration. So when persons are placing all of their meats and everything out, when the rain falls, and we had rain yesterday and a little bit the day before, and that mixes with the garbage, and there are no holes, when our guys are tipping the bin, that can go out on them. So we need the holes so that the water can make its way out. But you can also safely away from the water course, you could bury that meat as well. You could do that.
Bury meat? Okay. Well, Alpha, sorry, I was going to call you Alpha. You know we always call you Alpha. We always love when you come on, and hopefully it wouldn't be the last time.
You can safely do that.
It wouldn't be the last time, but we do have to wrap up here with you, and we're going to invite you back and talk more about that project and other things that the SSA is doing. But keep up the good work, Mr. PADMORE.
262-5326, 262-5327. And remember, hold on to that scripture verse, Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, our ever-present help in trouble. We hold this daily at SSA. We are praying for you as a country, and we know you're praying for us. Together, we can get through this, Barbados.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you. Always a pleasure. We'll be back after the break. calls. Okay. 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 12, by minute to 12. 11:59, yeah. Welcome back. We do apologize to the backup calls. We did actually start a little bit late. If you do want to call us, it's 228-5563, 228-5562. We do have a number of WhatsApp messages that we're going to try to read as many as we can. And in the meantime, we just want to remind the Barbados Light and Power of some areas that were coming in. People are begging maybe for an update. Rices in St. Philip, Long Bay on Ocean City, all in St. Philip, Bathsheba, Cleavers Hill and Hillswick in St. Joseph, and Serenity Hill, Kendall in St. John. These areas, they do need some help, and I know you're doing a fantastic job, and we want to commend you and cheer you on, but we needed to share that information. We have some WhatsApp messages that we will now put up on the screen, and we'll, here's one, wondering when it's likely that the electricity at Sarah's Court, Christchurch will be restored. That's another one, Light and Power to add. Sarah's Court, Christchurch, we do have a caller, and we want to get this call in before the close of the show. Good morning, face it and fix it. You're on the air.
Good morning. My name is Angela Harden, and I'm a Fortescue in St. Philip. And this is 7 days without electricity. No one came through the area, not even our lovely politicians, to see what's happening. I know Barbados have many outages, but I would still like to see a politician like in Arrowbarrow Day that would come through and check to make sure people are all right and don't only knock on my door when they want to vote.
Okay, ma'am, thank you so much for that. I do agree with you that, you know, if they can get out, and I see some pictures of many of them out after the storm, but again, that's Fortescue St. Philip, so even the MP for the area, if you're listening, or maybe the information can be shared with you, the people of Fortescue would like for you to visit. So we're going to add that one on the list. We have another WhatsApp. Good morning. Light has been restored to Mount Tabor, Wilson Hill, Sherburne, and Wakefield, and not Venture. These are areas in St. John. I repeat, it has been restored to Mount Tabor, Wilson Hill, Sherburne, and Wakefield, but not to Venture. We heard the Light and Power saying that from time to time, you're going to see areas with light and pockets without. Now remember, you see your Christmas tree lights, and you know you got one section out, and then you want to know how come the other section not running? Well, it's kind of set up like that, I would believe. So give them some time. The mere fact that they're getting some on, they're getting closer and closer to getting this all done. Another WhatsApper, I am a resident of St. Simon, St. Andrew. Our electricity has not been restored. I have not heard any mention of St. Andrew. We have asked the Light and Power for an update. If you don't get it between now and the end of the show, you can go onto their site. They do normally give the updates to all of the media houses, and they'll give you an idea where they are working today. Good morning. 2nd and 3rd Avenue, Atlantic Park, St. Philip. We have no power, but not in 1st Avenue. Today is 7 days. So they're saying for 2nd and 3rd Atlantic Park, they have power, but not in 1st Avenue. Today is 7 days. Again, expect those pockets to happen until they can get back to some of these roads. It may be something totally different. It could be a wire, could be something small. I'm not quite sure, but we're hoping that Light and Power will get to you sooner rather than later. No electricity in River Bay, St. Lucie since Friday morning. St. Lucie people would like to hear something from you, Light and Power. In the north, I know that you put some information out yesterday. They're waiting for an update today. Again, commend you for the excellent job that you're doing, but people are getting a little restless, and rightfully so. And I want to explain about frustration. You do not know what another person is going through, and could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. So let us be empathetic with the people who don't have electricity. Let them vent, but I'm just saying that when you vent, don't be disrespectful with it. But please understand how some people may feel. Some people have light, and you're okay. There are others that don't. Let us empathize with them. There's another WhatsApper. I hope you can assist me with my matter on the 30th of June. With the rainfall that day, I had a sudden cave-in my backyard, about 5 to 6 feet. During the hurricane last week, the hole has gotten wider with the rainfall. How can I move towards this seeking help? Because with the rain coming, I'm not sure what will happen. To that individual, we will definitely get your telephone number and follow this up. This is very serious. They did not state the area, but we will certainly take that number, and part of our team, we will follow that up for someone in the relevant ministry agency to look into it. Another WhatsApper querying who has responsibility to remove and replace rotten poles that have flow and Digicel lines only. No Barbados Light and Power lines. This is a common problem in several communities where the defective poles remain until they fall down. I think that for the first time in my years of living, I've never paid so much attention to poles and wires. I don't even know what half the wires are for, and there's so many, all just hanging, and so many, and some of them I understand are not doing anything, and a lot of poles are leaning. My fear, and I'm hoping that somebody would be able to go out there and check all of those poles at some point in time. It's not possible to do all in short order. But there are some poles that prior to this storm, they were not leaning, and they're now leaning. And we're just hopeful that no one gets hurt. So hopefully they will get those matters rectified sooner rather than later. Another WhatsApper, this is a common problem in several communities where the defective poles remain until they fall down. And again, I am hopeful that they don't. And so I'm hopeful that they don't. I want to thank everybody for the WhatsApp messages. Apologize to the callers and to all of our guests. Please continue to stay safe, stay patient. Light and Power will get to you. I'm Joanne Haig. This is Face It and Fix It. Until we meet again, God bless.